Hey, what's different about this year's offseason for the St. Louis Blues is that the city of St. Louis is actually going to pay for the renovations this time as opposed to holding the Blues hostage. Also, never too early to talk about next season as the Blues retool. Steve Chapman, Vice President of the St. Louis Blues, joins us. Good morning, Steve Chapman.
McGraw, I missed you, man.
You missed me, baby. I'm just a phone call away. Before we get to some of this off-season stuff, the playoff season sure is a long time, right? I mean, the Stanley Cup Finals is going to be, what, mid-June?
It is mid-June, and I mean, honestly, it's known as the second season because it actually is. I mean, it's a march to the Cup Finals, and it's there's so many different things can happen. A goaltender can get hot, your health of your team overall. There are some teams that are just built for the regular season that do really well, and they get to the playoffs, and it's just a bit of a different game. It's a grind, and so it is. But honestly, McGraw, it's to me, and to a lot of people, it's kind of the beauty of the sport. I honestly think it is the hardest trophy to win, and I know a lot of Blues fans would understand that, but it is, and I love it. I was watching last night, and every shift matters, and it's just an exciting time.
Yeah. Now, did I see the NHL Draft Lottery was this past weekend?
It was this past weekend. Yep. The lottery to the teams that did not make the playoffs, you are allotted X number of your percentage point is greater the worse you are. So the Blues at barely missing the playoffs, we had like a 1.5% chance to draw the number one pick, and unfortunately didn't do it. But yeah, that was this past weekend, and so the lottery system has decided who will get first pick going into next year, and the Buffalo Sabres, who have picked. It seems like they and Edmonton get to pick every year in the first space for the last few years, but they get to pick number one again.
The Blues, though, do have a first-round draft pick, right? You guys traded back into the first round.
We did. So the draft pick that we received in this lottery, that was actually traded to Philadelphia for Braden Shin. So we actually, our first pick, which would have been the 14th pick, based on this lottery, is going to go to Philadelphia to complete the trade for Braden Shin. But at the trade deadline, Army traded Paul Stastny to Winnipeg. And for that, we received a first-round draft pick and the rights to Eric Foley, who is a highly touted young forward out of Providence College. So, depending on where Winnipeg finishes, if they win the Cup, then we'll get the last pick in the first round. Or if they
right.
lose before then we'll be a little bit higher.
All right, let's talk about some of the renovations now. Phase 2 at the Scott Trade Center. What's going on this offseason?
Well, Phase 2, the first thing that started with is seating, and I tell you what. It's amazing how you recognize things, but you don't really recognize how much you need to upgrade until you start looking at new things and everything else. And the seating that is in Scott Trade Center has not been renovated since the building was opened, and it's just not in a great state. So the first thing that we're going to do is change out all of the seating in the upper deck and our mezzanine. There's a number of sections in the lower level that we are going to change out this year. But by the end of next summer, we will have upgraded every seat in the house.
So what are you going to do with all those dried cheese nacho chairs?
You know what? That's actually a good question, because we've actually been debating over, whether we pull some out and save them and auction them off or sell them to raise money for Blues for Kids, or do we try to hold some back and for season ticket holders and things like that? And it's been a debate because, some of them just aren't in great shape. Like, right. I'm not sure why you'd want these, but in other cases, we know that people have a sentimental value to them, and it's a seat that they've sat in for years. So we're actually looking at that right now.
All right, stay tuned. All right, so you have the full renovation of the seats. Anything else going on in Phase 2 we should pay attention to?
Yeah, actually, some cool new gathering spaces that we're working on in Phase 2. One of the things that, if you've ever been to Scott Trade to a Blues game in particular, you probably noticed is that there just aren't a lot of great places to hang out. And when I say that, what I mean is that people will hang out in the concourse itself. I know people who, they meet behind Section 126 sign and things like that during the intermission. And so one of the objectives of this next phase is to create different bar and different hangout spaces, new food and beverage amenities, things like that for fans to be able to enjoy both before the game, during the intermissions, after the game. So that's been a major focus of ours, as well as some new premium spaces that will allow some great opportunities for premium seating, both in a club level and then down at the ice level, and just a whole new product for us to introduce.
Let's talk season tickets. It's never too early to talk season tickets. What do we need to know about season tickets?
Well, right now it's renewals are starting tomorrow on May 1st. We've introduced a new fan amenity, our proud member sweepstakes. Fans can enter these sweepstakes by purchasing or renewing their full season, half season, or 12-game ticket package. Anyone who has previously purchased or renewed is already entered into it. But there's some great prizes that we're going to give away this year. There's a trip to the 2019 NHL All-Star Game, which is in San Jose, which we hope is a precursor to us bringing the All-Star Game here to St. Louis. There's prizes like free season tickets, autographed Blues gear, and a lot of other things. So you can go to stlouisblues.com /sweepstakes and purchase or renew your season tickets and get signed up now.
Full season, half season, or 12-game ticket packages. Sounds like a good deal. stlouisblues.com. Steve Chapman, Vice President of the St. Louis Blues, thanks for checking in. Have a good offseason, and let us know if we can help you in the future.
McGraw, appreciate it much, bud.